Well, I'm here at the Stanford Blood Center because I have TTP, which is now in remission for 12 years. I was initially diagnosed in the spring of 1995. I often think about, as I sit here talking to you, I have 1,000 people sitting behind me because I wouldn't be here without those nearly 1,000 people donating. It's just the kindness of strangers. There is no other treatment for TTP other than donated blood product. I'm happy, I'm alive, and I have only blood donors to thank for that. So what more can I say, right?
I received 987 units of blood products from donors, none of whom I knew, none of whom we solicited. It was just there when I needed it. So part of TTP basically destroys your red blood cells in your plasma, and so your red blood cells, your plasma do not work right. So I needed to receive 13 to 17 units of fresh frozen plasma a day in order to survive. And in addition to that, I was very anemic, and so probably every 2 days, every 3 days, I needed to get red blood cells. Now my family runs blood drives, and I like to talk to people about the importance of blood donation as our way of giving back. And we figure with 987 units received, we have a lot of work to do.
Eight years ago, I was diagnosed with leukemia, and the only way to save my life is with a bone marrow transplant. My sister, I was fortunate enough to have a sister who had a match for her marrow, which obviously saved my life. But I also required over 100 units of blood products, and I received 100 units from perfect strangers that kept me alive. So it's people like you that donate routinely that help me stay alive and help others stay alive. Thank you for all your donations and your continued support. People here are great, and I enjoy coming back. Thank you.
The idea of just donating blood and feeling weak and possibly passing out, and I'm not a big fan of the needles. Whenever I've seen those on campus, I've felt both guilty and kind of afraid, so I've just avoided those whenever I can. And I see them everywhere, so I figure I should finally get over my fear and just do it. I remember when I was like 7, going to the doctors, and they had to get an orderly to hold me for the tetanus shot and stuff like that. So I was really, that's not a very pleasant topic for me. The fears and that part of it, I think that I personally can get over if the value is there. If I can be shown how important it is to donate blood from first-hand experiences, from people who just know more about the subject. I'd like to learn more, basically. The reason why I'm here is because I've made the commitment to donate blood, in spite of any preoccupations or fears that I have about doing so. I think that if I can get over my anxiety of donating blood for the first time, I can maybe donate blood on a regular basis in the future, and maybe I can turn this into part of my lifestyle. I'm just committing to the idea of helping other people, and if that's something that I can do, then all of my hang-ups are secondary.
parents don't realize the pressures and the difficulties that we have today in our generation that they probably didn't have at the same extent when they were kids. And I think growing up in the world that we do today with all the sex and all the violence and all the drugs and all the drinking, that it's very hard to know if you're doing the right thing and to know if you're making a difference. We see the same thing that adults do on the news. We see the crime, the murder, the problems in overseas, and I think teenagers want to help just as much as adults. We want to be a part of that cause, and we want to be part of the solution. And I think at such a young age, the immediate response is always, I'm too young. I'm not 21, I'm not an adult. What can I do? And I think blood donation is something that can be our own, and it can be something that is the first start to a life of giving and a life of helping. It's a problem today that kids don't feel like they're appreciated, whether it be home, school. You know, they just don't feel like they're making a difference. And to go into this bloodmobile or to go into the blood drive and have these people look at you as a hero because you're giving blood and that's what you are, then it's truly going to be exciting and a great experience for these kids to see, hey, these people really need me. It really will be fun because after the fact, kids are going to see, I just potentially saved someone's life. And not only is that exciting, but it's fun to know that you're a part of something like that and you're a part of such a great organization that would be able to do such a great thing. One person can make a difference, whether it be politics, whether it be blood donating. There are other things out there than, you know, the material things and those kinds of things, the sports cars and the cell phones. You can be able to help someone who just needs life, basically, and you can give them life. It's the best thing that I think I'm going to be involved in at this juncture in my life. I've never done anything to the level that giving blood is at. On a personal note, it's something that I can look back and say, that is something that I truly made a difference with. I stepped up and I could have saved someone's life. And I think each individual will feel that same excitement and that same appreciation in their hearts for what they're doing, that will be just enough to make them go and give blood.
I didn't want your help.
I didn't want your help.
I didn't want your help.
None of us wanted your help.
But I got very sick when I was 19 years old.
But then my baby was born with diamond blackfan anemia.
But then I needed a liver transplant.
But then I had serious complications during the birth of my only child.
And I needed 987 pints of blood to live.
And he needs regular transfusions now just to live.
And I needed a lot of transfusions to live.
And I needed more than 200 pints of red blood cells, platelets, and plasma to live.
I never wanted to become a blood recipient.
I never expected that my son would become a regular blood recipient.
I never wanted to become a blood recipient.
None of us ever imagined that we'd be the ones fighting for our lives, the ones depending on the generosity of complete strangers to give us or our children, spouses, or friends a second chance in life. But when it did happen to us, we were sure glad there were people like you who took the time to donate.
Thank you, blood donors.
Thank you, blood donors.
Gracias.
Thank you.